Kubrick Lover 1972 here. Of course, you know it's Brian. Anyways, this is my horror movie recommendations. Trying to get this out of the way, and I'm expecting this to be a long video. I'll put a subtitle here right about here, saying how long the video is. So I picked up, well, I don't want to dilly dally too much. I don't want to talk, and then not get to the movies. I'll put it. I don't think I'm going to talk too long before I show you the movies, but I'll put another warning up here saying when the actual recommendations start. So if you don't want to hear this part right here, you can just skip right over it. So anyways, I said in my previous video for my Guitar Stream announcement earlier tonight, I said that I might do a video on this for my recommendations. I'm gonna give a shout out to a YouTuber named her channel's called Movie Chatter, Stephanie. Movie Chatter is the channel, and her name is Stephanie. So she just covers lots of movies on her channel. She's on the stream on Cinema Dave Media's channel every Saturday. They're on in the afternoon. But anyways, she did a video like yesterday, maybe 2 days before, somewhere in that neighborhood, with Japanese and Korean films, horror movies that she'd recommend. And I do have some Japanese films to recommend that are in the horror vein, but I have also other countries and American movies as well to recommend. And I did say in the previous video that I did about the Guitar Stream announcement that I said, like superhero movies, horror movies, not really my kind of thing. I think directors like, for example, Ridley Scott and Stanley Kubrick, they didn't really, they're not, quote, horror movie genre directors like a Wes Craven is, or is John Carpenter really a horror movie director, or is he a jack of all trades as far as movies go? Yeah, Wes Craven is definitely in that vein, and I don't really know Friday the 13th that well, but I do have a Friday the 13th box set, and I do have a Friday the 3rd. It's a French box set. It's not that fancy one. I'm very deficient in my knowledge of Friday the 13th. I've only seen a few of those films in the 80s, and I bought this box set. I'm not going to show that box set because I basically can't recommend it because I haven't seen them in ages. So, but anyways, I'm digressing. I bought it in Canada, visiting my brother. It was like an English-French box set, and I had, I think, the first 8 films, and then I bought another box set online, which was Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy vs. Jason, and Jason X. I don't know which order they go in, but yeah, I bought that one because I wanted to see hell. And a friend of mine, a YouTube friend of mine, was saying, like, you don't really see hell, I think he said, in Jason Goes to Hell. Anyways, so I can't really recommend Friday the 13th, at least at this point, because, I really haven't seen them in ages, and I've only seen a handful of them, and like Jason Takes My Hand is kind of silly, kind of interesting, but kind of silly. So, but I'm digressing. So I might get to this. I might get to the video at hand. I also want to say a few of these videos. Well, a few things. A few of these movies are not technically horror movies. They're like on the fringes. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. I have another. Before I start the video off, there's another movie. It's not totally horror. I think I'll tell you what it is when we get there. But I would be remiss not to have it on the recommendations, and it's one of my favorite movies, anyways. So so I'm gonna recommend movies that are on the fringes of horror as well, and I'm gonna recommend a few that, like, I fell asleep during, or there might be just one. I think no, those two I think I fell asleep during, but I was still impressed by them. I mean, I saw one at a horror movie marathon, and you know, it was the middle of the night, and you know, I'd gone through several films before that in the theater with my friend, and by that point in time, I was tired, but I was impressed. So I'm going to include that movie, and I'm going to include another movie that I have in my collection that I watched, and I didn't. I think I watched it with a friend of mine too at my house. But the problem with that one was I fell asleep during that, but I was still impressed. So those are technically suggested. So, anyways, let's get to the video, and I'll be back in a split second. Okay, I'm back. Split second there. So I'm putting my glasses on and off. I just have trouble sometimes. Like sometimes I take them off when I look at the computer because it's a vision thing. I don't know. I gotta get new glasses anyways. You can see how they're not straight up my face. But yeah. Anyways, that movie I recommended. That director actually, I when I was getting that film, I realized the next film next to it was just as important as far as like horror movies go, and maybe more in the vein of a horror movie, the other one. And then there's another film he's done. I'm going to get to him in just a second here, and that's a little more down the line because I'm doing it section by section in my apartment, so I know where to put my stuff back. So this will be done in parts. Yeah, so that'll be a little further down the line. And in fact, this video is going to be long. And oh, and another thing is, I guess this film is not this film. This video is going to be sort of a talking head video because if I wanted to insert still pictures while I was talking, but I think it's going to take up too much time in the editing process. And this is a Halloween video, and it's the 21st of October, and I've got to sort of hustle if I want to make recommendations. I mean, if you see these films after Halloween, you know, that's totally fine, you know. I'm sort of the persuasion that, like, I'll watch a horror movie in March, and a Christmas movie in April, and a July 4th movie in November, you know, or a noir movie. Like, they had the noir thing in November. I might watch a noir film in January, you know, so that's the kind of thing, you know. But, anyways, one of my favorite directors of all time is Alfred Hitchcock. So let me. This is the start right here. This is the start of the recommendation. So here's the first one. And one of my favorite directors is Alfred Hitchcock, and this is probably Psycho. The shower scene, I think, scares a lot of people. Taking a shower, maybe I don't know. Maybe women are more scared of it because, you know, they're more isolated and everything. It's sort of like that. Now, there's another movie I own called Jaws. I think Jaws might be a little overrated. I don't know. Maybe I should backtrack on that because maybe there's cinematography underwater, and you know, maybe it's kind of skillful. I don't know though. I mean, I like Schindler's List and Minority Report when it comes to Spielberg. And I think like his latter period is much more thought-provoking cinema. But I do think, you know, he made some really good entertaining films before that. And I do think he did make some films that are sort of thought-provoking or more, you know, I like Close Encounters is popcorn, but yet it still has kind of a awe to it, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is, you know, a great action film, but it's also kind of got an awe to it as well as Temple of Doom. Anyways, Psycho, that's the first one. And the second one is another Hitchcock, The Birds. I like The Birds because it's not this wham bam, you know, thank you, get to the punch right away in the first 10 minutes kind of movies you see today. Because the characters actually talk for a while to one another. They talk about things that are not even related to the birds, and just very, very slowly it edges into, you know, the bird attacks and the bird attacks on the school children, and the birds attacks on the family and Tippi Hedren's character, and you know, there's some nice times where, you know, they just talk, you know, like I think her name is Susan Fleshett, maybe. She's a school teacher, and she had a relationship with Mitch, the male main character. What's his name? I can't remember the guy's name. You can put it down there if you remember. If I remember, I'll tell you. But he was in the Time Machine too, the old Time Machine movie. I can't remember his name, but he's the love interest of Tippi Hedren's character. So yeah, the birds. And then we got two Tim Burton movies. Tim Burton, depends on the movie with me. Some of his movies work, some of them don't. But I like this one a lot. I haven't watched him in quite some time, but I had the Blu-ray. I work at the library, so people get rid of DVDs and Blu-rays, and sometimes I pick these up when they get rid of them. So yeah, this is one Beetlejuice. This is a Blu-ray. I haven't watched this particular copy, but it's fun. You know, it's a lot of fun. I might gloss over some of these movies a little bit, you know, just for the sake of time. This is Edward Scissorhands. Kind of unique. Kind of Tim Burton has that sort of unique effect that he does with his movies. So, you gotta excuse me. This is an older computer I'm doing the video editing on. I think there's something wrong with the webcam or something. I don't think it's I have a newer computer, a 2014 MacBook Pro. This is a 2012, so I don't know. If it gets stiff like that again, I'm just gonna stop the camera and then start it up again. And that's partially the reason why I'm doing this in parts, you know, because of that fracture thing you just saw. So, anyways, Edward Scissorhands, fun movie, kind of eclectic, you know, kind of odd like, but very entertaining. It's got the Danny Elfman music as well. They're kind of eccentric movies. Danny Elfman is sort of Frank Zappa and Danny Elfman sort of merge in a way, I think, sometimes. This is The Others. There's a Criterion of this. I don't know if I'll get the Criterion, maybe at some point, who knows, but this is a good one. It's got a nice twist at the end with Nicole Kidman. I don't know if this is the greatest film I've ever... Well, this is not a greatest film that I've ever seen list, but this is The Arrow of Children of the Corn. The Arrow of Children of the Corn is pretty cool, how they did everything, how they mapped. They took like 5 different locations and made it look like one location. That's pretty cool. So, like, the movie's kind of interesting. I think the behind-the-scenes stuff on this Arrow Blu-ray of Children of the Corn is really fascinating. I've seen one of the sequels. I think it was the second one. Not as good, but yeah, this one's pretty interesting. And the special features, I think, are what sells that Arrow. So this is yes, Halloween, you know, the John Carpenter classic. I like the fact of its minimalism, that it doesn't depend so much on gore, but just on practice, just more on a more basic level. I'm not a Halloween freak, you know. I'm not like is freak the right word? A Halloween nerd. Same with Friday the 13th. Well, I didn't really watch Friday the 13th. I've only seen them in the 80s, and I saw only a few. And then I saw Jason Takes Manhattan, a horror movie marathon, and they were doing like a Riff Tracks commentary on it, like a humorous commentary. The host and his friends when it was showing in the theater for the horror movie marathon at the Jacob Burns Film Center in Pleasantville, New York. So anyways, Halloween is entertaining, good movie. Next, I've got these, I have these Saw films on Blu-ray. They're how many Saw movies are there? 7 of these. Saw 7 says the final chapter, but of course there was a few made after that, which I had not seen. But anyways, interesting concept of making people pay for their crimes, because they weren't brought to justice or whatever. So this person, Jigsaw, this person has, should I get in? He's got cancer, and he wants people to feel responsible for who they are. So he puts them through like really hard situations, with like bear traps and saws and stuff. I mean, that's where the saw word came into the lexicon of the Saw movies. Is that right word, lexicon? I think I'm using that correctly. The first two Saw films are probably the best. The other ones are kind of interesting, but the concept's pretty cool. Silent Night, Deadly Night. There's a sequel to this. The sequel might be better. I saw the sequel. I think the sequel like reiterates parts of the original film. This is pretty. This is like the first. This and a few other movies at the time, like Christmas Evil, were taking the holiday format and twisting it on its head and doing it from a horror movie approach. And it's so way over the top. I have to kind of laugh, even though it's pretty, graphic. It's just that's just me though. Roman Polanski's classic Rosemary's Baby. I like the fact that it doesn't bludgeon you over the head with gore and everything. Not that gore doesn't have its place or can't work, but in this particular case, I like the fact that he's being very suggestive, Roman Polanski. I don't, what happens at the end, and how she redeems herself at the end of the movie. Next up, another Roman Polanski movie, his second movie, Repulsion. Played by the main character is played by Catherine Deneuve. She works at a beauty parlor. She stays during the weekend at her sister's house in England, and they're both French women. So, but anyways, her sister leaves the apartment for the weekend, and Catherine Deneuve slowly goes insane. And and there's gonna be a movie that I'm gonna recommend further along in the video, and that movie's called Day of the Dead. And if you watch the start of Day of the Dead, there's that scene where these hands push out of this wall, and it's an homage to this movie, because there's a scene in this particular movie where Catherine Deneuve is walking down the hallway and these hands are pushing through the wall. So that's really cool, and the movie's great, and the use of sound, like the ticking clock, is really good. This movie I'm going to recommend. I probably don't recommend as much as another Fritz Lang film, but there's a few other Fritz Lang movies. Well, there's two main Fritz Lang movies, but one's a science fiction, that's not related. But this I'd recommend second to the other one. That I'll recommend. You'll see that coming up. But this is Testimony of Dr. Mabuse. Fritz Lang made, I think, 3 Dr. Mabuse films. He made a silent one called Dr. Mabuse the Gambler. I was wavering on wanting to if I should show that, but I thought, nah, not really. But this is like this coming into the specter of Hitler and the Nazis, and I think they had to smuggle this film out of Nazi Germany. And Fritz Lang has this dubious past, like the director of this movie and Metropolis, and the film I'm going to show you in just a short while. People don't know if he really was a Nazi sympathizer. He was asked by Joseph Goebbels, the head of propaganda of the Nazi Party, to be the head of the film department for the Nazis, and he fled out of Germany on a train. And here I go again, I think, so I'm going to have to stop it and start again. Okay, so I'm back. And so this is Testimony of Dr. Mabuse. It's like a person that's running the government, destroying crucial things like maybe it was electricity. Like a factory is destroyed or something. And but I think Mabuse is a symbol of Hitler, basically. It's a pretty good movie. I might be glossing over these movies a bit. I think I'm glossing over this a little bit, but yeah, Testimony of Dr. Mabuse. And now I'm going to have to stop again because gathered a whole bunch of movies, and I got to go to another pile, so I'll be back in just a second. Split second. Okay, back in a split second. The computer is just breaking up. You probably are seeing it in the during the video, but at parts it's going like that, staccato, kind of freezing up. I don't know. It's not too much of a bother, I guess. But anyways, I was talking about Fritz Lang's Testament of Dr. Mabuse. Pretty good movie, but not as good as his Metropolis, which is science fiction, but obviously that doesn't cover horror. But there is a movie, M. I don't know if it's technically... there's a few movies here that I'm going to recommend that are not horror exactly, but they're sort of horror. And this is M. It's about based on a child murderer in Germany about the time that almost before the Nazis took power. And this was made in 1931, I believe. Yes, 1931. It's an interesting film. I mean, I like this film a lot. It's probably one of my favorites. I have like 40, 50 favorites. I do have a top 10, but the directors in that top 10 list, the other films they make could be just as good. And then other films, not even by those directors, can be just as good. So I don't like really ranking stuff that much. But these are recommendations. And it's got good use of sound, M does, and silence, because it's in the interim of when silence and sound was, when silent was on its way out and sound was on its way in, and he really knows how to visually design these, and also does sound very well. And by the way, when I recommend some of these movies, the Criterion's are the way to go, I think, for the most case. So that's M. And then here's a French film director, what's his name? Oh, wait, not Jean. Henry Georges Clouzot. A lot of people like his film. What's it called? Wages of Fear. I think it's a bit overrated. Wages of Fear. I do have Sorcerer. I've yet to watch it. I hear that's really good. It's like there's that scene with I've seen the photo, the truck going over the broken down bridge, but I haven't seen it yet, so I can't render a verdict on that. But he also made this other movie called Diabolique, and it's really good. This headmaster of the school, he's killed by his wife and mistress. And they take his body after they've suffocated him in tub of water, and then they drop his body into the swimming pool that's close to that time of the year, because it's like cold. It's not the time of year where the outdoor swimming pool is used. When they go back to look at the body, it's gone. So really good movie. Now we go into Japanese movies. I might be jumping around a little bit, to different countries. Like I'll be in France at some point, and then I'll be back to France. And like Hitchcock, for example, is another Hitchcock I want to recommend. I'll be jumping back to that. Anyways, this is Kuroneko. It's by Kaneto Shindo. He's directed some other interesting films. He directed one called Pale Flower, which is interesting. Using these Banraku puppets, it turns into a reality of its own. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but he did another film people like a lot called Onibaba. Maybe I have to watch it a little bit more, but I like this one a lot, because this samurai goes off to fight in a war, in some wars or something, and his mother and his wife are left behind, and they're killed by samurai, and like spirits of cats. That's why it's called Kuroneko. Neko meaning cat, and Kuro, I think it means spirit in Japanese. they become these spirit cats or whatever. They whenever like some samurais come into their neighborhood, their where they live, they get assaulted by the mother and her daughter-in-law. So, and that's a good Criterion. A lot of these are Criterions. I'm going to show you quite a bit. I don't know, some of them, whatever. This is called Jugoku. Kind of a mess. I don't know. I mean, the last third is the part I really like because it shows you hell. The first 2/3, it's okay. The first 2/3 is showing you why they went to hell. Like what they did. Like so. But the visions of hell are, incredible to look at. I think the studio that made this, what studio was the one that made this movie? Katsu, maybe? Well, whatever the studio was, or is it a different one? Nakagawa and Toho Studios. Anyways, they went bankrupt, and I think this was a film that made them go bankrupt. Of course, so there are films like those, that make a film go bankrupt, but still remain classics, like Heaven's Gate, for example, by Michael Cimino, which is not a horror movie, but it's a movie that bankrupted United Artists. This one is, I think these all are considered horror movies. This is a box set of Hiroshi Teshigahira's 3 of his films, Pitfall, Woman in the Dunes, and The Face of Another. The Face of Another has Tatsuya Nakadai. Oh, it's freezing up again. So I'm gonna just expect me to do stop and start, stop and start, stop and start. You won't really be much of an effect, but you'll see the herky-jerky movements after a few minutes, and then I'll just stop it and then continue on. So anyways, what I was saying is the Hiroshi Teshigahira box set, it's a Criterion. I think this one is out of print. Probably the most famous of these films is Woman in the Dunes, which you can buy by itself on Criterion. Woman in the Dunes is about this bug scientist. He's doing research in the desert, and he misses the bus to get back. So he needs a place to stay overnight, and he's led to this person's house, and she lives in this hole beneath the desert. Well, inside the desert, like there's this hole, and he stays there, but he can't get out of there. So it's a very artsy kind of film, and the other ones are too. Pitfall, his man dies. I think his son dies too, and it's like the afterlife is like basically just observing the living, as a ghost. That's Pitfall, and then Face of Another is Tatsuya Nakadai, who might did he make his debut in Yojimbo? He's the samurai in Yojimbo who has a gun, and he was in ensuing Kurosawa movies like Ran. I think he was in Kagemusha. Was he in Kagemusha as Shingen Takeda? I think he was. But he was in Ran as Lord Hidatora Ichimonji. But yeah, earlier in his career, The Face of Another, he's got like I think he's got a burned face, and I guess it's a question of identity or whatever. But they're very avant-garde films in this box set, and they're a lot of very interesting to watch. This one, this one coming up, it took me. I gotta watch it again. I think I'm warming up to it more. But I was kind of not thrilled with it when I first saw it, but maybe I didn't have the right approach, and that's House, which is directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. So it's kind of a trip. But yeah, if you're like more prone to more like narrative-driven movies, like maybe this is not the film for you. So I'm gonna verge off with another movie. Oh yeah, here's the other movie too. These are films that are technically, well, actually, one of them might be horror. Let me do the one that's more horror-driven first, and then I'll go to the next one. This one is by Eli Roth, Hostel. I think they're students. They're going on a trip in Europe, Eastern Europe, and they're, just having, trying to have some fun and enjoy themselves, and they get put in this hostel, and they get tortured. It's called torture porn because they were like they cut off limbs and stuff. There's another movie. Maybe I got rid of it. I think I got rid of it. I was just looking for it just a short while ago, and it's called Turistas, and it sort of verges on the same territory because it's Turistas are collecting body parts. It's in like Central or South America. And the young people again, and their bus gets overturned. I think on a coastal highway, and their organs get taken out of their bodies, and it sort of verges on the same territory. So I recommend both those movies. But I think I got rid of Turistas because I can't seem to find it. This is another film. There's going to be some films in here. I don't know if they're technically horror, but they're more. The hard watches. So I don't know. But one of them is Salo. I've only watched this film once. It's a really hard watch, but it's a masterpiece. It's like the plot is basically this: it's these young people are taken to the countryside of Italy during World War II, and these fascist politicians and military subject them to various humiliations and tortures. There's one scene, technically it verges into two, but there's one scene where they're eating crap, excrement. Okay, so let me finish off this pile first, and then I'm going to make a statement about this freezing up. That they're forced to eat their own excrement in one scene. It was chocolate, it wasn't real excrement. There's another movie I'll probably never watch called Pink Flamingos, where this transvestite person named Divine, it's a John Waters movie, eats a dog's poop. And that's not simulated. But yeah, they subject them to all these tortures. And I think it's an important film because it tells you about how power can be abused no matter what country we're talking about. Pasolini wasn't a director to shy away from controversy. And he was murdered before this film was released, I believe. And his murder was never brought to justice. And I think I recently heard that the murderer was a member of the cast. I think that was the case. This film scared me when I was younger, but I don't know. It's kind of eerie. It's fun. Poltergeist, directed by Tobe Hooper, and people say Steven Spielberg directed most of this film, but I think it was Steven Spielberg who said that Tobe Hooper had a big hand in this too. And then for this last part of this section, we got Frankenstein. I think it's a Universal release. Yes, Universal. I think it comes with it includes Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, House of Frankenstein, some other special features. So, the freezing up of this video is really annoying. I'm just going to soldier on through it, but I think it won't affect you much because I'm just going to chop and edit, so I can get that out of the way. So, I'll be back in a split second with more recommendations. Okay, I'm back. So let's just keep rolling along. This is Carrie. This is the Shout Factory, I think of it. The indication that this is a Shout Factory. Pretty sure it's a Shout Factory. Um, what's a Scream Factory? Okay, so. But yeah, I haven't watched this yet. But I had seen this movie before, but I bought this from a friend of mine, and yeah, I think it's got a load of special features. But yeah, it's a pretty fun movie. You know, the pig's blood thrown over, thrown on top of Sissy Spacek's character's Carrie's head, and the hand coming out of the grave of Carrie at the end, and the destruction of the gym and during the prom at the end and all that stuff. I haven't seen it in a while, but I really like it. And I think it's Stephen King's favorite adaptation of all the movies that have been made of his films. And this is his least favorite and one of my favorites of all time, and one of my favorite horror movies, The Shining. I don't think I have to say a ton about this, but this is a fantastic film. You can see him directing Shelley Duvall, Kubrick directing Shelley Duvall in the special features, and he's not too nice to her. So, I really admire Stanley Kubrick, obviously, because my name is Kubrick Lover 1972 on my YouTube channel. I don't think I'd like to work for him, though, because I've seen a documentary about the guy who played Lord Bullingdon for Barry Lyndon, and then he wanted to become Kubrick's assistant, which he did, and he died not too long ago in his mid-70s, I think, and he basically had no sleep assisting Kubrick, so genius, but I wouldn't want to be his assistant, I haven't watched this in a while. I also bought this from my friend. A few of these movies I'm going to show are from a friend I bought, John Steele, but this is another one, Misery. It's another Scream Factory. Yeah, Misery. It's based on this story by Stephen King about this writer. Does he get hit? Does he crash in a plane crash or something? And this woman nurses and trying to nurse him back to health. And she's Psycho fan, and she's not too pleased with what he's writing about her character, his character that he writes about, called Misery, I believe is the character's name. And Kathy Bates won an Oscar for that performance. He also sold me this one, Ghostbusters. This is just a nice, fun movie. I think it holds up pretty well. But I haven't watched it in ages, so. And this is a Steel book, so. I haven't seen any of the sequels or the female Ghostbusters or anything. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch them one day. Who knows? But the original's good. This is, I might as well get to this one as well. Frankenhooker, this is a Arrow. I think it plays in American Player, even though there's this British thing on here. I'm pretty sure it plays in the, yeah, it's a ABC region disc, so it'll play in American Player. I haven't watched this actual disc itself, but I have seen this movie on Shudder with Joe Bob Briggs covering it, and with the director Frank Henenlotter. It's a lot of fun. Nice, fun movie. This movie I've seen before, but I haven't watched. There might be a theme here, these movies I'm recommending, some of them I might have not watched, even though I own some of them, Same case here. This is a commentary by Roger Ebert. I think Roger Ebert did only 3 commentaries while he was alive. This one, Dark City, Citizen Kane, and Casablanca. I think he only did 3. I think maybe it was by choice. Well, I mean, yeah, by choice, but, he just didn't do a ton of commentaries. I think he only did 3. So this is like an alternate reality. And that's what Dark City is about, I guess you could say. I'm going to get into some box sets now. I might, maybe further down the line, I might have some other box sets. Maybe not. I'm freezing again. I think I'm freezing. Yeah, I'm freezing. I'll be split second again. I don't know if I made this into separate iMovie videos and then sandwich them together, if that would be the trick. I'm just going to soldier on. Okay, next up we have a box set. Nightmare on Elm Street box set. This is a nice one. It's I got it upside down here. It's embossed. It's got this nice embossing. Embossing means it has like it stands out like the text and the image comes out of the box. But I'm not. I like a few of these movies a lot. I mean, I like. Oh, you know what? I had this upside down. I think because I recommended it at some point. I had this upside down the case. I'm not going to fix it right now. That'd take too much time. I like the first Nightmare on Elm Street. That's a fine film. I really enjoy that movie. I think people have said, like on John Grande's Graveyard, his channel, like the ending where the mother is like, I think you can tell it's a dummy, goes right through the glass, the small little glass portion of the front door of her house. Like it looks very fake. But generally, overall, this is a good movie. And I do like Wes Craven's new Nightmare. I like the alternate reality and how he like reinvents the film, the world of the Freddy Krueger and the reality of Wes Craven, you know, of his actual living life and Heather Langenkamp's life. And the only other one I'm impressed by, sort of, is Green Warriors. I think it's number 3. Yes, the Freddy and the I think this girl's at a mental institution. She's looking at TV, and the TV, Freddy's head's back in those days, you know, they had cathode ray TVs, you know, the big boxing TV, so it's hanging from the wall, and you see Freddy's head in the TV, and his arms come out of the sides, and he takes her head and pushes her head into the glass of the TV, and he says, I think he says, "Time for prime time, bitch," or something like that. So there's certain images in Green Warriors are kind of interesting. There's like a snake, Freddy Krueger, you know, like a worm, like it's the head of Freddy Krueger with like a worm or a snake form behind it. So that's pretty cool. So now we're gonna get into more box sets. I'm gonna stop it for a split second here, and I'll be right back. So here's a movie. It's a remake by Werner Herzog. It's Nosferatu, Phantom der Nacht. It's about, and this is going to be also referred to by another movie that I'm going to show in a little while. I do have the original Nosferatu, but maybe this one's a little more impressive. I don't know. I like sort of the low budget approach on this particular film and how they managed to put it together. Werner Herzog. This month, at the end of this month, I'll be on a stream discussing this in one of my Facebook groups. We voted, and this is the one we ended up winning the vote. So, but anyways, this comes in this Herzog Kensky box set, which is by Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay, I think, is out of business by now. My friend Sasha sent me a whole bunch of Werner Herzog Kensky. Or not all Kinski. There's some of them are Kinski, and then some of them are other Herzog movies. He sent me a whole bunch of Blu-rays that I don't know where they went. They're around here, I just don't know where. So next up, so here's some box set recommendations. This is sometimes this TV show, probably my favorite TV show of all time, and it's I like the fact that, I mean, I do like other shows, you know. Of course, they're not all movie related shows like Seinfeld and Simpsons and Curb Your Enthusiasm for comedy, and Mad Men and Breaking Bad for drama. But like some of those shows have a certain timeline to them. This particular show was for 4 seasons. It was half an hour. One season, the 4th season, it was approximately an hour. The 4th season doesn't hold up that well, I think. But it's my favorite TV show, and it's The Twilight Zone. So, and this is the DVD. I know people are basically here on YouTube, Blu-ray people or 4K people. there's some DVD people out there too. I mean, I do have Blu-rays, but I have DVDs too. And I started out with collecting DVDs before the VHS. But yeah, these have special features. Like Rod Serling advertising cigarettes and other advertisements from the time period, and there's a documentary about Rod Serling on here. So there's a lot of cool episodes. I like the twists with the Twilight Zone. I don't want to get into too much detail because there's tons of movies to recommend still. This is a really, really nice box set. It's the Adrian Quadrology box set. After I do this series, this set of recommendations, the next set of recommendations will be coming around again on alien topic, because I'm gonna show it twice. This thing twice, not really twice. The box set once here. So this is the box set. This is the DVD. I've had this for a little while. But if you want hours of footage, and I mean hours of special features, like something like 30 hours or 60 hours worth of special features, this is your thing to get. And they have it on Blu-ray now. It's the first 4 Alien movies. I like Alien and Aliens the best. Alien 3 is pretty interesting. I want to recommend another YouTuber. I think I can, right here, Trash Picture Show. And if you want to hear some good analysis of Alien 3, he's your guy. I think he's your favorite. His favorite Alien film is Alien 3. I like Alien 3, I guess. It's just but Alien and Aliens I like the best. Probably Alien a little over Aliens. Maybe because it's more simple. Is not the right word, I don't think. But yeah, it's like the one title I debated was Terminator and Terminator 2, but I thought maybe they're more science fiction, so I decided to take them out. Yeah, so Alien, yeah, I feel as though Aliens is maybe a little bit more action paced, but it's got a horror aspect to it as well. But yeah, Alien, the Alien Quadrology. So I'll be back in just a sec. Okay, so I just showed my Alien box set. A friend of mine, he sent me a few things in the mail, and one of the things he sent me were the Alien films. The first 4 Alien films, because I had them on DVD, and he sent me these on Blu-ray. And they're just like the DVD box set that has the director's cut and a theatrical cut of each film. He sent me those that on Blu-ray. So I'm gonna put his channel up here, Sexy Monkey, and his channel's very interesting. He one of the things he does is he shows us his custom sleeves and that he makes for his own movies he buys, and he also has been doing slipcovers recently as well, because he lives in the UK, and the UK has ratings all over their covers, but he also doesn't like it like when American covers like have digital banners and stuff like that on there. So he makes his own artwork and puts it in the movie, puts it in it's in his own cases, and he did that for the Star Wars movies for me, and these particular ones as well. So he did the Aliens one, and he's done Aliens. He's got some other nice artwork that he sent me too. Alien 3, and then Alien Resurrection, which is probably the weakest of all the Alien films, or at least the first 4. Okay, you gotta keep hustling here. Suspiria by Dario Argento. It's sort of more of a mood piece. You know what? Thinking about mood, I was thinking about Japanese films. I'm going to recommend another Japanese horror film, but I think I'm going to recommend another Japanese box set. I know this video is going on long, but I'm recommending. I didn't even think I'd be recommending many horror movies, or I don't know. Maybe they're just fun to watch. I don't know. But Suspiria, it's more of a mood piece, I'd say. And this is a Blue Underground release. So I don't know if Blue Underground is in business right now. I'm going to show another Blue Underground business Blue Underground movie as well. Yeah, that's one. And another Blue Underground. Well, another Blue Underground that's not Dario Argento is what I mean by that. This is The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. It has Notario Storaro, who would later do the cinematography for Apocalypse Now, and what's another movie he did that's really big? The Last Emperor. And 1900. Last Emperor I love, and that's like my default Criterion recommendation, and a really great Criterion, but that's not horror. But anyways, he did the cinematography for this movie for Notario Storaro, and then you got another heavy hitter, which is Dante Ferretti, who is a production designer on this particular film, and he did Gangs of New York, and he's done a whole bunch of Fellini movies. He I think he's not alive anymore. I'm not sure, but he did a whole bunch of Fellini films as well. So, and then next up is Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, or it's called Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's by Francis Ford Coppola. Visually, it's visually very beautiful to look at. There are problems with this movie. The problem is Keanu Reeves' acting is just dreadful, and Anthony Hopkins, he's done some really good performances, and he's a great actor, but this film he just very, very awful. But Gary, I think it's Gary Oldman. Yeah, Gary Oldman's performance is fantastic, and Winona Ryder and the female vampires are very good. This one I'm mixed on. I guess it's sort of a recommendation. I think I like the sequel better. It's more funny. I think it's more of a big budget. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of this franchise. I don't think I am, but maybe it's interesting from a filmmaking perspective. Evil Dead by Sam Raimi. Just glossing over that right there. I'm going to put a little warning at the start of this whole video for just children recommendations. And I just have two that I thought, if you have children and you want a recommendation as far as films that are more kid friendly, first off, I'd go with Monsters Inc. Pixar, well, one thing about Pixar is when they started off, they were making really good movies, and then I think the first bad one, I think it was Cars. I haven't watched all the Pixar movies, but when they started off, I think Cars was the one that, I think some people still like Cars, but I don't like it. I like the starting and the ending. But this is really good. Monsters Inc. is really good. It's, funny, and yeah, it's more child friendly, And the other child-friendly movie is Beauty and the Beast, which is a Disney movie. I thought recommending Beauty and the Beast by Jean Cocteau. I have a copy of that, but I've only watched it off of TV, when I taped it off of TV, and it was off the public television station, and it was very staticky at it. We didn't have cable, my family, and but I bought the Criterion of it. I just haven't watched it, but I think I looked at a portion of it, and it is impressive, but I can't really recommend it because I just I really haven't delved into it too much. But this is a good movie for kids. So, here we go again. So, yeah, so that's Beauty and the Beast. So I'll be back in just a second with another recommendation right here. I'm more smooth again now, but anyways, we're moving on anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I'll be back in just a split second. Okay, so we're back with more movies. Another Blue Underground release. I had the poster signed by the director, and I saw this at the Alamo Drafthouse before I bought the Blu-ray. Shockwaves. He's the director. I don't want to get into too much. Ken Wilderhorn. I think it's one of the first films to use electronic soundtrack, or one of them. I don't know, but Peter Cushing's in this, and John Carradine. I don't know if he's related to David or Keith Carradine. Um, John Carradine was in another interesting movie. I don't know if it's a great movie, but it's sort of fun. Well, I don't know if it's fun. I don't know. The music's kind of interesting. He was in it with Vincent Price. It's called Monster Club, which I saw with Joe Bobbrate's show. It's not that great a movie, but it's sort of fun. The music's fun. Yeah, and Brooke Adams is in this movie too, Shockwaves. Brooke Adams was in a movie by Terrence Malick called Days of Heaven, which is a really good movie. Of course, that's not really horror related, but just, but these are about underwater Nazi zombies that are controlled by Peter Cushing on this island. Maybe that's kind of crazy, because why would Nazis be in the Caribbean or Bahamas? But just fun. It's just a nice, fun movie. This one I like a lot. I really should catch up on watching these other movies. Maybe he's only made 2 movies since this movie, or maybe he's made 3. I think this was his debut feature, and it's very impressive. It's The Witch by Robert Eggers. Yeah, Robert Eggers. And the female performance in this film, what's her character's name? Tamatha? I can't remember her character name. That's her. That's her right there. Yeah, right there. That's her. And so yeah, this whole family is they're thrown out of this Puritan town, and they make their own way. They live out in the woods, and when we talk about the Puritans in history, they basically were imagining all these women were witches, but like this is approached from the angle of like, what if they actually witches really did exist? What if what if there was this threat of witches in colonial New England? And the ending is fantastic. I love the ending. I'm going to recommend a few other David Cronenberg movies, but this is one I'm going to recommend: The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken, Martin Sheen, and Christopher Walken character. He's going to get married at the start to. She's from Cagney and Lacey. I'm not sure. I can't remember the woman's name that plays the love interest. But he gets in a car accident and he's in a coma for a long time, maybe a year or so. I'm not quite sure exactly how long. But he in exchange for being in an accident, he becomes a psychic. And when he's given how this rich man is asking to tutor his son, I think that's how it goes. And the rich man is, I think he's funding this politician's drive for Senate or House. I think it's Senate. And the politician running for office is played by Martin Sheen. But when Christopher Walken shakes his hand, he sees the future, and he sees that this guy's going to become the president and a huge threat. And the ending is fantastic. David Cronenberg is a great director. He's done a lot of great movies, and this is one of them. And these 2 films are not really technically horror, but they're sort of, in a way. And I'm going to recommend another film of the same director on this particular movie, Brian De Palma. And the first film I'm going to recommend is Dressed to Kill. It's got a nice twist at the end. Michael Caine recently retired from acting. Really great performance by him, and what's her name? I can't think of it. Andy Dickinson's in it, and Nancy Allen also in this. Nancy Allen, I think, was in Carrie too, as well. And Nancy Allen was in RoboCop. I'm thinking of Karen Allen, and Karen Allen was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then we got, speaking of Karen Allen and Raiders of the Lost Ark, here we go again. Okay, I'm back. Maybe with future videos, maybe I'll do them off of the webcam. Maybe I'll do them off of my other Mac, because my other Mac will probably be very smooth. Or I'll just chop it up into small videos and then sandwich them together after I've done the whole video. I don't know. I'm just gonna soldier on. this is a Spielberg film I'm going to recommend, Minority Report. It's kind of dark compared to, when Spielberg started off, he was making these movies that were popcorn, fun kind of things, and I think later on he sort of approached darker subject matter. With one of my favorites was Schindler's List, and that's a very uplifting movie. It makes me cry every time I see the ending. Another one of my favorite Spielberg movies is Minority Report, and Tom Cruise character, his son is, I think his son was murdered, before the film starts. In the past history of his character, his son was murdered, and that's something like Spielberg, I think, shied away from for quite a long time, because he was quite a champion of kids. He liked to make films for kids, or the kid and the grown up. So. But anyways, he sort of embraced the dark. Not embrace the dark side. That's a silly way to put it. But he went past his comfort zone, and he created a movie that's a little bit on the dark side, and it sort of has a horror element to it, So I'm sort of recommending it. Well, not sort of. I am recommending this highly. It's just technically it's not totally a horror movie, but it's kind of a dark science fiction film. So from that aspect, I recommend it. So be back just a split second with more recommendations. Okay, so back with more. Brian De Palma, as I said before, Dressed to Kill, a really good movie. Maybe this is more in the horror vein. Sisters. It stars Margot Kidder, and it's a really good performance by Margot Kidder. I think she plays kind of a ditz, like a crazy woman. The ending's really shocking. I don't know if I want to get tons of information about all these films because I could spoil them for you. But De Palma's, like Scorsese, he does excellent homages most of the time. But, if he's going to reference another director. Tarantino's kind of shaky on that. Sometimes he's kind of showy with that. In this particular case, Sisters, I think he sort of does an homage to which movie is it, by Hitchcock? Because he's a huge Hitchcock fan. I think it's a Rear Window. So it's a really cool scene where you see in one part of the screen something happening, and on the other part of the screen you see something else happening, and then at a certain point, those two things, the people moving in those two different screens, they meet together in the middle. So I think like one woman's walking to an apartment and the other person's in the apartment. She walks to the front door, the other woman walks up the stairs to the front door, and she opens the front door and the scene merges. It's really cool how they do that. And the end, how the psychiatrist, I think, basically subjects her, puts her in this asylum, and just basically she has no escape, that's not the Margot Kidder character, but I like this film, really good. I saw it at a horror movie marathon, and it was really good. I'm going to touch on some other films. These two next films, they're like in the vein of Salo. They're also Criterion like Salo. So technically they're not horror movies. Well, this is maybe not as much a horror movie as the other one, I guess, but it's a Russian movie called Come and See by Alem Klimov. Oh, I could recommend another movie. I'm not going to do it because it might just take forever, but his wife, Larissa Shepetko, did a movie called The Ascent before this movie. The Ascent was done in 1977, I think, and she died in a car crash in 1980, I believe. But they're very similar, The Ascent and his film that he made that he finished in 1985 called Come and See. It's about genocide and the Nazis invading, I think, the same area of Russia, which was Belarus or Georgia. I think it's Belarus. I thought it was Georgia, but it's Belarus, I believe. And they did a huge genocide there. Not just the Jews or the Poles, but I think they killed a lot of Poles and Nazis, but they killed a lot of Russians. and this is pretty shocking. You know, what this kid is subjected to, and this young woman is subjected to, and all what happens to all these Russian people is pretty devastating. Not an easy watch. I have watched it a few times. I can watch it more than Salo, for example. You know, I've watched that film a few times. Come and see, but Salo's. I don't know when I'll watch Salo again. This is another movie. Funny Games. Michael Haneke's the director. Michael Haneke is sort of he doesn't shy away from controversial topics. There's another film. I think he did the film Caché with Juliette Binoche, and I think that's his film. The husband of the Juliette Binoche character, I think, is secretly racist or something. He has to approach some sort of some kind of problem, and that it tests his behavior or the way he views things. So, but Funny Games, this family gets invaded by these two teenagers. The family is a mother, father, and a son, and they have a dog. And he takes the gloves off. Nothing's forbidden, you know. So, you know, if you can watch films where, you know, really terrible things happen to a family very graphically, you know, it's not an easy watch, but it's a great film. So, okay, so now we're up to another one. This film, a friend of mine took me to the Alamo Drafthouse to see, and I was blown over by it. Incredibly impressed. This director, Ken Russell, I'm not really impressed by his other movies. I don't really care for Woman in Love. I don't think I like Tommy that much. I don't like Lair of the White Worm that much. But this one I love, and probably one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite new movies, even though it was made in 1971, I think. 71 or 1970. And I don't think this is not the director's cut. I think I saw the director's cut, I believe, at the Alamo Drafthouse with Ken Russell's widow in attendance. But better to have a copy of this, I guess, than no copy. But I think it's very censored, this edition, like what happens at the end of the Oliver Reed character. Vanessa Redgrave's in this as well. I think the Vanessa Redgrave character is the nun character right here. But it's about this town. It's a real event, Loudun in France. And the Oliver Reed character is a priest, and he gets this young girl pregnant. They sort of use that as a way to maybe undermine his authority, the French government and the King of France, and this person that works for the King of France. And the father of the daughter who was impregnated by was impregnated by the Oliver Reed character. He's not too pleased, obviously, you know, that his daughter was impregnated. And the Oliver Reed character has a relationship with another woman. I guess I have to analyze this more, but you know, there's probably tons of essays on it on the internet and in books. You know, but sort of like what is more important, the individual or the state, something like that. It's very impressive visually, great music, and very eclectic, dissonant kind of score that I think fits the mood of the movie. And if you see the very end of the movie, how the town is like, well, they didn't have bulldozers back in those days, you know, because it's like the 1600s or whatever. 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, somewhere in there. 1600s, I think. They smash up the walls of the town at the very end of the movie. Just they try to do it at the start. But anyways, the scene where at the end where the love interest walks out of the town, they do an homage. Roman Polanski does an homage to that in The Pianist. So that's pretty impressive. And I did mention in a Hitchcock film, I haven't watched this in a long time. I didn't watch an actual Criterion of it, but I think there's like a ghost story element to it. It's a good movie. It's Rebecca. I think it was Hitchcock's very first American movie, and David Selznick produced this. And it's with Joan Fontaine, Laurence Olivier. So good movie. And Laurence Olivier, his previous wife was named Rebecca. That's why it's called Rebecca. So. And then we got a film by Jordan Peele called Us. I bought this in France. Not France. What am I talking about? Canada, in Montreal. So that's why it has the noose there and the Un Nouveau Cauchemar de Jordan Peele, which means a new nightmare from Jordan Peele. And the scenarist, a réalisateur, I'm butchering the French, writer, director, get out. And it's a pretty interesting movie, very eerie. I think I looked at the special features on this. I generally do when I watch a movie. Next up, we have another Criterion. This is with Deborah Kerr. Deborah Kerr, I think is how you pronounce her name. The Innocents. It's more of a mood piece than. I think she's seeing things in her head. But yeah, it's The Innocents. So, be back in just another split second with more recommendations. Okay, back with more. So I'm gonna recommend some more Japanese movies. I've only seen the first of this. It sort of has a air about it, like a phenomenon about it. I'll recommend another. I recommended it earlier. I think I did. When you see the video, you'll see. But John Grande, Grande's Graveyard, he did he does streams a lot. Maybe they're mostly on Thursdays. Anyways, he did a stream with this woman, Curly Girl, from the movies. Curly Girl. He discussed the Ring movies, and there's this box set, Arrow box set of the Ring box set, the Ringu box set. This particular box set has the first and second and the prequel, and I think another movie called Spiral in here. But anyways, and lots of special features because Arrow's a contender like with sort of with Criterion, with special features and everything. Also, they focus a lot on cult films. I do have a lot of Arrow movies that, and some of them are horror related. I didn't watch them, so obviously I can't recommend them. I've only seen the first Ring film, but it's interesting. It's kind of eerie. That's the thing about Japanese horror. It's more an eerie kind of thing than a jump scare kind of a thing, that, or at least in this particular case. And this comes from a book as well, so, yeah. Another Japanese film, and if you, I don't know if I put her name up. If I didn't yet, I'll do it right here. Movie Chat or Stephanie. She recommended these two films, so I'll recommend them as well. Dark Water. Again, it's more of a mood kind of a thing to me than a actual like a making you scared to death kind of a thing, I think in the Dark Water particular case, there's a ghost of a young girl in the particular case of the Dark Water phenomena, Dark Water story. So visually, the Japanese really do very visually beautiful films, like in the case of horror. And so yeah, it's a pretty interesting film. Visually, it's beautiful shots, as it does with Ringu. And then here's a film it's another hard watch, maybe not as hard to watch as maybe Salo is not hard, but it's a pretty hard watch. It's up there with Come and See and the other one, Funny Games. And that's auditioned by Takashi Miike. I watched that for Joe Bob Briggs show, and it was a when they got to the scene where this man, he's lost his wife and he has a kid. Has a, I think the son is either a teenager or all grown up. But in any case, he's talking to his friend about like he wants a woman in his life, and because they work in the entertainment business, he auditions a bunch of young women, and he finds this woman, but she's not as good as he thought she is, and he pays a price. Let's put it that way. Okay, next up, this film. I know it's a horror classic. It's like one of the greats of all time horror movies. I'm mixed on that. Maybe it's because I don't believe in demons and angels and stuff like that. Movie Chatter, Stephanie, when I watched her video last night, she was saying like what happens to the young girl in the movie Regan, The Exorcist. The stuff she's put through before she gets possessed is just like the horrifying stuff to me. The actual supernatural stuff maybe was more scary to me in the past. It's still a classic, I guess. And it's signed by William Friedkin as well. He passed away fairly recently. So I also have Sorcerer yet to watch by William Friedkin, which was a remake of Regents of Fear, which I mentioned earlier in the video, which I hear is a really good movie. And that scene with the truck going over the bridge that I hear is really fantastic. This particular film, I think some people don't like it, and some people do. And in the particular context of me watching it, I saw the movie. Here we go again, I think. Yeah, okay, I'm going to have to stop it. Okay, so we're back. Halloween 3. This is a film that some people probably hate, some people find as a cult favorite. I like the fact that John Carpenter wanted to go and do another direction. People like huge into Michael Myers. I'm not a big Michael Myers fan or whatever. I'm not into that kind of thing. Halloween is a great movie, but there's another film. I don't have it, but Black Christmas is a good one, which I think I've heard had an influence on Halloween. But it's a good movie too, which was made maybe 5 years before Halloween came out. I think Black Christmas was 74, and it was directed by Bob Clark, who would later direct Christmas Story, which was filmed in my hometown of Cleveland, which I'm not that fond of, but I know that's a classic. Halloween 3, anyways, I'm digressing. So it was Halloween 3. Yes, the story's way out. I saw it at a horror movie marathon, and the host and his friends made fun of it with a commentary. They did that with a few other movies. I know what you did last summer. One marathon. They did it for Jason Takes Manhattan. They did it with Chopping Mall, and they did it with Death Spa. At least those are the ones I remember. But that's a lot of fun when they did that, and those were events were funny. Fun, not funny. So yeah, they did a like a Red Tracks commentary while the audience was watching this. But it's growing on me, Halloween 3, and even though it's kind of crazy and silly, it sort of has a good logical silliness to it. It's just fun and just like the theoretical aspect to it, I guess. I want to watch this before October ends. I don't know if I will, who knows, but anyways, I recommend it. And then I recommend these two movies. Another Autograph movie. This is signed by George Romero himself. It's saying "Stay Scared," George Romero. And I met him at a horror convention. I met William Friedkin at the Jacob Burns Film Center when he was showing Killer Joe. But anyways, George Romero, I saw him at the horror convention a year before he passed away. When I show up the tail end of this video, you'll see another person who signed another horror movie, and he passed away the following year. But anyways, this is George Romero. This is the what is this? What company made Oh, Anchor Bay. It's the Anchor Bay edition. It's got the European edition, American version, the theatrical. It's the U.S. theatrical cut, the European version, the extended version. It's got a bunch of documentaries. If you watch John Grande's channel, Grande's Graveyard, he went to the actual Dawn of the Dead festival or whatever it was, a film convention at the very Monroeville Mall that it was shot at, and so this is a really good movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies. It's like this. It's one. Would I dare say it's a Citizen Kane of the zombie genre? I'm not a huge zombie person, but this is a good one. And Romero's it's just more than just zombies that he talks about in these movies. You know, like Night of the Living Dead, he's tackling the Vietnam War, and you know, and Night of the Living Dead, I mean, it's like King Kong to me. It's a classic. It's a milestone, yes, but is it my favorite of the like the same like the Dead series? No, I don't really like Night of the Living Dead that much. And King Kong, like I like the Peter Jackson version over the original version. I think I saw the '70s King Kong, but I wasn't wild about it. But anyways, that's Dawn of the Dead, and this particular Dead movie focused on consumerism. It's got a great score, epic film, much more epic than Night of the Living Dead. Had a huge budget, you know, or maybe a fairly big budget. So I love it. And then the other movie that he made after that, it's good, but I hate the cop-out ending. I hate the ending of this film, but it's Day of the Dead. It's got a nice embossed zombie here. Buddy. That's him right there. So, yeah. And I think the book has. I can't remember if Roger Ebert is in the book here. This little booklet that it comes with. Because I think Roger Ebert's in here. I can't remember if he's praising it or condemning the movie. But I have them. I have the night on the DVD. I also have the Blu-ray of Fight Club, and in the DVD, there's a booklet that comes with the DVD, and in that particular booklet, they have the criticism that Roger Ebert had in the movie, like he's saying that Fight Club promoted fascism. So make of that what you will. But yeah, so be back in a split second with more. Okay, so next up, these next two, they have like creatures in them, you know, like lots of fantasy creatures. So this one I'm going to show now. Guillermo del Toro, I guess visually he's a very, very interesting director. But so far the only film I like of his is this one, and I like it. But the other ones I really don't like. And this film is Pan's Labyrinth. Even though it's a little girl character as the main character, they say this film is not really for children. I guess I could see that, you know, because of, you know, the story and how it develops itself. But, you know, it's got a lot of interesting characters like this, what is he, Pan? Well, it's called Pan's Labyrinth, so he looks like Pan, but the Greek gods. But I guess he's a faun. I don't know. They got all these interesting fantasy characters, you know. It's visually very beautiful to watch, and but it's also like there'd be an allegory of these characters. Like what's really at stake is the Spanish Civil War and her stepfather being the jerk that he is, you know. But maybe I'm not elaborating enough on all these films, but I highly recommend Pan's Labyrinth. You know, it's just like Ken Russell with The Devils. You know, I don't like his other movies, but in that particular case, it's a different ball game. You know, well, in the case of The Devils. Next up, we have Krampus. It's a horror Christmas movie. So it's like the bad Santa, I guess, is Krampus, and I guess it's in Norse mythology or something like that, where it derives its origin from. But it's a lot of fun. So yeah. And we have some silent movies. This one's called The Phantom Carriage, directed by Victor Seastrom. He was in Ingmar Bergman's Wild Strawberries. That was around the start of Ingmar Bergman's film career. And that Wild Strawberries came out in the 50s, maybe mid-50s, or going into the late 50s. But before Victor Seastrom was in Wild Strawberries, he was the director in his own right, and he directed The Phantom Carriage, which is about like the Grim Reaper coming to collect souls, and one of the souls he collects, I guess, takes the place of death for a year or something like that. And that makes me think of, in relation to Ingmar Bergman, the Seventh Seal. I don't think I would recommend that as a horror movie exactly, but it sort of treads in the same territory because, the knight plays chess with death, and then in exchange, if the knight wins the chess match, he gains immortal life. But what's going to happen because it's death. It's the Grim Reaper. He's what's going to happen in Seventh Seal. I don't have to say, because he's the Grim Reaper. This is a silent film. I don't think I watched this all the way through, but what I watched, I really enjoyed. Haxan. I think you can see this off of YouTube. Haxan. It's a silent film, and what country is this? Danish? Oh, Swedish. It actually is Swedish. So yeah, Haxan. Witches, demons, I don't know if this film is technically a horror movie, but it's sort of a horror movie in a way. It's Darren Aronofsky. It's my favorite Darren Aronofsky film, Black Swan, with Natalie Portman. What's her name from that '70s show? Mila Kunis. And I think Zoe Saldana's in this. But I can't seem to find. Let me see. Where is she? I don't know. Wait a minute. Vincent Cassel's the ballet teacher. I don't know. Anyways, I like this movie. And the last of this portion, there's more coming, but another Criterion, The Cremator. It's a Hungarian movie, I believe. Oh no, it's Czech. It's Czech. This guy, he's Czech, but he works with the Nazis, and he cremates corpses, and it's pretty cool visually. It's pretty interesting. Like there's like allusions, is that the right word, to Tibetan Buddhism, and I mean, very interesting movie. So yeah, Cremated. So I'll be back in a split second with more recommendations. Okay, so I mentioned David Cronenberg earlier, so here's two other Cronenberg movies that I really like. They're probably my favorite two Cronenberg movies. And the first one is earlier in his career, 77 maybe? 81. So it's Scanners, which has a science fiction bent to it. It's got Michael Ironside in it, and the other main character actor, the good guy, I don't remember his name. I don't think he's really a major actor. He was an artist, I think, before this, and still is now. Like a sculptor or painter or something, maybe. But yeah, they have these telekinetic abilities, and they can like read people's minds, and there's cool shots like when the Michael Ironside character is in this theater room, and not theater room, in this theater, and he's on the stage, and he blows this just by focusing on the other guy next to him. He blows his guy's head blows up, and it's cool at the end when the two main characters are duking it out, with their psychic abilities. And also the scene where the main character is in a phone booth and affecting this building through the wires of the phone lines, which is maybe, I mean, maybe kids today, if they see that, they're gonna, it's not gonna be, because we have cell phones these days, and we use cell phones all the time. We don't have phone booths anymore, so, but if you can see it in the correct context of the time period, it makes sense, So that's cool, Scanners. And the other film I like a lot by Cronenberg is Videodrome, which I guess is pretty prophetic for today, reality TV and other aspects of television, and not just television, but maybe media in general, the internet and everything. It's just very ahead of its time, Videodrome. It's a cool movie. And then we go to David Fincher, one of my favorite directors. Now, these films are they're not horror movies, but they're sort of, the thing about David Fincher is he makes dark movies, generally speaking, unless it's a curious case of Benjamin Button. He touches on dark subjects. That's his strength, I think. So I'm not including Fight Club. I don't really view that as a horror movie, but these two, actually, I'm going to do the third one after the second one, but I think the third one and the first one, it's in chronological time order of when he made his films. Actually, they go hand in hand more. So here's the first one, 7, which is about a serial killer who murders people according to the 7 sins. And very good visually, great score by Howard Shore, who also did great scores for David Cronenberg. Howard Shore did. He also did the scores for the Lord of the Rings movies. So Lord of the Rings entertaining, but not great film. But 7, yeah, that's a good movie. He made another serial killer movie many years later, maybe 10, 12, 13, 15 years later, for Zodiac. In this particular case, it's a loose ends movie, so he's trying to reinvent the serial killer movie, I think it is. And they're both very good movies. And I recently looked at special features and listened to the commentaries on Zodiac. The last one I'll recommend of David Fincher's Panic Room. Panic Room is, this is a special edition, which is fantastic. This is the DVD, I know people Blu-ray 4Ks, but if you can get this on Blu-ray or 4K, the special edition is what I'm talking about. And see how they went through the whole process of making the film. It's pretty interesting. But dark, that's the point I'm trying to drive across is, this mother and daughter buy this townhouse, and these people invade their home, and they're in this room called Panic Room, so they're safe, supposedly safe from these home invaders. So that's Panic Room. Next up, we have a movie with Christopher Lee in it. The guy who plays Mr. Deltoid from Clockwork Orange plays a character in this movie. But it's The Wicker Man. There's a remake of this with Nicolas Cage. It's just god awful. This is a good one though. It's set in is it Scotland? I don't know. There's pagan people, and I can't remember exactly how it goes, but this guy comes to investigate this area, and things go south for him, let's put it that way. These next two I didn't watch all the way through, but what I saw I was impressed with, so I'm just going to gloss over them. Antichrist by Lars von Trier. The black and white cinematography is beautiful. I think there's some nice use of some operatic music here, but very dark. And then we got The Babadook, which I think used a lot of practical effects, didn't rely on CGI. I got to revisit this, but I was impressed with what I saw. And then running off this part of the video, Silence of the Lambs, signed by Jonathan Demme himself. I probably should have bought the Criterion of Silence of the Lambs when Jonathan Demme was alive. I used to see him at the Jacob Burns Film Center do Rarely Seen Cinema, And then I used to attend some of the Saddle Up Saturdays, So the rarely seen cinema, he would pick films that are like that he thought were like not noticed, like they sort of went past the radar when they were out, and he's trying to bring them into attention again. And I saw a lot of interesting movies that he chose, and a few of them I bought, but anyways, he directed Silence of the Lambs, and this was signed by him, and it's, I'm gonna have to recommend. There's one more film I'm gonna recommend. I'll do it right after this one, but yeah, more of a thriller kind of aspect, but to a certain degree, with Hannibal Lecter, he's sort of a creepy, manipulative guy, So the performance, I guess, of Anthony Hopkins. And this was considered the only horror movie to win an Oscar for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress. But technically, I guess some people don't consider this a horror film. But anyways, there's a better film. Well, is it better? It's different. And I'll show you that right next. So we'll be back in a split second. So we finally reached the end. And so this is the last bunch I'm recommending. And I'm going to get to it so I can end this video as soon as possible. But anyways, the sequel to Silence of the Lambs was the movie Hannibal, directed by Ridley Scott. I like some of Ridley Scott's movies a lot. I'm anxious about the new Napoleon movie. That's like a big dream project for directors to make a Napoleon movie. I had the Abel Gance one that I got off of YouTube. In 2 different scores. And that's like a 5-hour, 15-minute movie, I think. The European version that was the Carl Davis score. I used to have the American version, which was 4 hours and 5 minutes, and they had the score by Carmine Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's father. And I think the reason why it's very hard for the Blu-ray released in America of Abel Gance's Napoleon is I think Coppola holds the American rights to the Abel Gance cut of Napoleon, so that's why it's been in legal hell or whatever. But there's a BFI version, there's a UK version of the 5-hour, 15-minute cut with the Carl Davis score, which was originally played, I think, in the 80s, early 80s, and then was it 2013, 2015, 2012, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, or maybe a little more back, there was like 4 performances of the silent Napoleon film by Abel Gance in San Francisco, and like 4 performances of it. And they said you're never gonna get this on Blu-ray. I think they said that, but it is on UK. Probably will appear sometime over here. Who knows when? But anyways, I'm digressing. Hannibal. I like this film. I know it's not a great film or whatever, but it's got some nice classical music, nice cinematography, cool kind of a story. Acting is a little over the top in some areas, but I've watched this a number of times. I enjoy it. And I did mention, I mentioned another person that autographed a movie I had that died the following year. This is a horrifying movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Ryan, You're Dead Meat, Gunnar Hansen. That's Gunnar Hansen's autograph. He also autographed inside. Ryan, You're Next, Gunnar Hansen. So, yeah, nice guy. I don't know. I mean, I just talked to him for a few minutes, but this is a pretty horrifying film. These are more of the horror movies that scare me because this could actually happen in reality, and it's based on Ed Gein, the serial killer. He was like a cannibal serial killer, and Ed Gein was also the basis for Psycho, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I was talking earlier about Nosferatu. I had 2 versions, the silent version and the Herzog version. Well, this is like docudrama kind of a thing, and it's got Willem Dafoe playing the Max Schreck character of Nosferatu, the vampire, and it's got John Malkovich, who plays F.W. Murnau, who's the director of the original Nosferatu. So, pretty good movie. almost at the end here. Night of the Hunter. I'm gonna put another channel up here, Mike's channel. This is Great 1951 Media channel, but I'll put it up here so you can check out his channel. This is his favorite movie. That's why I mentioned Mike here. Really good movie. The only movie that Charles Laughton directed. Who knows what we could have seen if he had directed more movies, but this is a masterpiece. Very allegorical. Very horrifying. You know, the character of Robert Mitchum, and I don't know. I guess it's regarded as one of his best performances. Roger Ebert's favorite actor was Robert Mitchum. So, yeah. And 2 more to go. Or no, 3 more to go. So, this is George Loser. What country is this? Denmark, I think. Is it Denmark? I don't want to drag the video forever, so, but it's called The Vanishing, which is an American remake. So this guy's wife goes missing at a rest stop, and when he finds the actual killer, well, things don't go as planned. You know, he doesn't get judged. Well, things happen. So I'll leave it at that. Second to last, The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. I know a lot of people trash M. Night Shyamalan. I'm not. Basically, I'm in the same camp, I would say, with most of his films. I'm not a fan of Sixth Sense. I guess that's one regarded as his best film, and I don't like the vagueness of it. I didn't even know that Bruce Willis was dead during most of the movie. Maybe that's stupid me. I don't know, but I like The Village. I like the surprise at the end, you know, about the village. But maybe Unbreakable was okay, but yeah, I don't think it was a fan of Signs. I don't think it was much of a fan of Signs. So, but The Village, I like The Village. And the last one, kind of interesting. I don't know if I love this to death, but it's kind of interesting, and I found it when I was looking for movies. Visually, it's very interesting. It's The Cell with Jennifer Lopez and Vincent D'Onofrio, where she has to, I think she's a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and she goes into the brain of the D'Onofrio character, who is I think is a serial killer, and Vince Vaughn's in it too. So that wraps up the list of recommended movies, and now I got to edit this and put some music in it. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I won't hold you up any longer. Have a good day, good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Okay, bye now.
How you doing? Bitches leave.
Gee, Bobby, bye. You gonna call me?